peace, better health, where transformation begins from within. I'm your host, Shreya. Today, we are joined by Tara Wiskow, an intuitive energy healer and reinvention guide whose journey of releasing 220 pounds and reclaiming her power is nothing short of inspiring. She now helps women break free from self abandonment and people pleasing, showing that true healing isn't about fixing yourself, but finally coming home to who you really are. Let's talk energy, emotion, and why your power begins where your self abandonment ends. So, welcome, Tara.
Hello, Shreya. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And thank you for having me on your show today. I so very much appreciate it.
And I am honored to have you on my show. Tara, your personal journey is a profound example of radical transformation. What was the moment you realized that you were abandoning yourself and not just your body?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. That's such a fantastic question. And it's one that's not easy to actually key into to know, exactly when you realize it. But I think for me, when I came home to understand that I was abandoning myself was honestly after I'd already lost 220 pounds and I was still struggling with the fear of gaining it all back. And I lived in that fear. I lived in that constant place of believing that I had to constantly be doing X amount of minutes of cardio every single day. I had to be following a nutrition plan that had no grace, nothing, like no give. It had to be perfect, that I had to be strength training and pushing myself to the point of intense pain. And then finding myself being in the struggle of choosing foods that were not supporting what I wanted for my body because I was being caught in emotional spinouts due to things that would come up in life. And I realized in that moment that I was choosing to self sabotage myself because I felt this pain. I felt this frustration. I felt like I'd let others down in my life. And in doing that, I was abandoning what was so important to me and what mattered to me. Therefore, I was abandoning myself in order to try to be who I thought I had to be for everybody else in my life.
Yes, that's such a powerful reflection. Recognizing self abandonment on that level takes a real courage. And thanks for sharing that turning point so openly. And how did that awareness shift the way you approached your healing?
It absolutely made me have to first of all, I had to own. I had to own the truth of what I was doing and how I was showing up for myself, and I had to then ask myself, "If this doesn't feel good, if this is not working, then what do I need to do? What needs to happen? What's the best approach?" And so when I actually became, like, open and honest with myself, had that awareness, it allowed me to start to break down what wasn't working and what needed to happen because I knew that it would resonate with me. And in doing that, it gave me the ability to start taking an approach that was entirely different than in any approach that I ever tried, which honestly has been my journey. It's like I have these profound, like pivotal moments of realization of, wow, you've never tried this before. Like at the start of my weight loss journey, it was realizing I had to love myself in order to lose the weight when I was 338 pounds because everything else I tried wasn't working. And in being in this moment of awareness was realizing I need to actually know what resonates with me, what's authentic to me, what is going to work for me. And that is what's going to help me to actually stop abandoning myself and no longer putting my focus on what everybody else needs from me.
Yes, that's wonderful. And you speak often about self sabotage and people pleasing. Why do so many of us fall into these cycles, especially women? And what are they really masking?
Yeah. I think that women especially, which is that's my primary audience of who I work with are women. And I believe that it's because of our conditioning. We've been programmed. We've been taught that we as women are supposed to be the caregivers of all those in our life. And that our role of being accepted. If we want to be accepted, if we want to be loved, if we want to be wanted, if we want to be good enough, then that means that we need to check all these boxes that are pertaining to others in our life, whether it's in our career, in our family, in our relationships, whatever it might be. As long as we're checking those boxes, then that means that we're meeting the expectations that have been put upon us, which then tells us in our head that we're good enough. We're now good enough because we've checked those boxes. When that starts to become the reality for us, that's when we begin sabotaging ourselves because we begin to look and say, I need this. I'm not getting enough sleep. I don't feel like my body's getting the food that it needs. I don't feel like I have the happiness, the peace, the joy, the love that I need. My needs are not being met. However, that can't be my focus because all these other people are more important. And as long as my boxes are checked for them, then I'm good. Then I'm good. I'll take care of me another day. That's when we start self-sabotaging is in that way. And I think again, the reason why it happens, just to kind of bring it around again to answer your question, is we do this in order to be enough, whether it's good enough or smart enough or pretty enough, any of that, we do it for that one word enough.
Yes, yes. That's such a deep truth. And those patterns often hide so much unspoken pain. So, thank you for bringing that to light with such care. And from here, a question came to my mind that can you share a first step someone can take to break out of that loop?
Yeah. This is a scary loop. Like that very honestly, I always go back to like jumping and building your wings on the way down because that was the statement that I connected with when I was looking to make some significant changes in my life a number of years ago. I was listening to this motivational video and this guy said there comes a point where you have to jump and build your wings on the way down. And I thought to myself, wow, that is the most profound piece of advice because if you don't jump, nothing ever changes. And if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? And the moment that you jump is the moment you begin building trust in yourself of knowing that you're going to make this happen because you have to. And so the very first choice or the step to beginning to making this shift for yourself, to begin choosing you, to showing up for yourself is absolutely just deciding to take one small step. No gigantic step, nothing huge. Because when we start looking at these huge transformational steps that we're expecting ourselves to take, we instantly begin to find all the reasons why it's too much, why it's impossible, why we don't deserve it, why we're not worthy of it, all of these things. But when we can go into a nugget size, just this small little piece of motivation to move forward, it is just small enough for us to say, I have time for this. I can do this. I'm worthy of this. And so it gives us that momentum to take that step forward. The very first thing I think that small step to do is to put yourself on your calendar for 5 minutes, uh, however many days a week that you have. The number that comes to me is I'd love to see at least 4 days per week that you say, I'm going to allocate 5 minutes, just 5 minutes for myself, 4 days a week, that I'm going to do something that really matters to me, that makes me feel amazing, whether that's meditation, whether that's journaling, whether that's sleeping an extra 5 minutes, whether it's sitting outside with a cup of coffee or tea or water or milk, whatever your flavor is, and taking that moment to just be with yourself and giving that block time to be your sacred time. That's such a wonderful way to start choosing you in a small nugget way that allows you to begin to expand it. Because when you do that, Shreya, it's like you start to get even more bold. You're like, wow, If I can do this for 5 minutes 4 times a week, pretty sure I can start adding in another day and make it 5 days a week, five,
Yeah.
right? And then before you know it, it's 15 minutes. And before you know it, you become me and you're like, you know what? I've got 30 minutes blocked and nobody's touching it. And if you don't like it, that's okay. Right? You just get bold and confident in choosing yourself. But it starts with one small step that feels manageable.
Yes, yes. This small step is very important to like it's a small brick before we make a big building.
Yes, yes, it's the foundation. So
Yes.
important. I love that. Great statement.
So energetic healing can sound abstract to some. How do you
Yeah.
explain energy blocks to someone new to this work?
Yeah. It absolutely is a whole new way of thinking, and if I'm always honest and open, it was something that I really had to sit with as I realized this is what I was being called into, and it was the loss of my baby sister. She passed 2 years ago, from cancer. She's 39, and she is who brought me into this, opened me and cracked me open to help me realize that this is where I was meant to be. So for anybody that hears this and thinks, wow, this feels so abstract, so wild to think about, I get it. And I understand where you're coming from. And how I explain it is when we have energetic blocks, these are multiple ways of being blocked. And what happens is it begins to be the blocks that are taking us out of alignment with our true self. Because I love to look at it as though you've got like this clay. Let's say that you've got clay. When clay is wet, it moves, right?
Yeah.
It's move, it's squishy, you step, you sink, you do. There's a lot of give. What
Yes.
happens with the energy within us over time is it begins to become hard and it gets really, really, really hard and there's no movement and it starts to block. Those are the negative energy pieces within us that are blocking our ability to actually be who we're meant to be. And when we can go in and when I can intuitively drop in and be able to scan your body using my intuitive abilities, I'm able to say, "Okay, Shreya, I can feel," and I'm not dropping into you at this moment, so I'm just using this as a reference. I can say, "I can tell through your chest chakra that your
Yes.
heart chakra, we have some blocks. There's a lot of black, there's a lot of heaviness here. That tells me that there's energy within that we need to move out." And when we do that, it actually gives us the ability to free up that space. It's like taking the weeds out of your garden and opening space for beautiful flowers to be able to grow.
Yes. And this is such a complex thing that I've explained so beautifully and so easily. So, how do you feel? Uh, how do you know that when you have actually cleared one versus just feeling better for now?
Yeah, so how I think your question is how do you know that you've cleared
Yes,
it
yes,
versus just yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that question because we can is it a permanent or is it just a just for now moment, right? That we're feeling. So the way that you start to know it right away you feel a lot lighter. Every single woman that has went through the clearing, as soon as we're done, as soon as we do a recap, instantly they will say I feel so much lighter than I did when I came into this clearing into the session. That's my very first sign that I know that I've removed a lot of the energy that is within. Then as days go, the way that you're showing up, how you speak, how you think, how you feel, the actions that you're taking, the emotions that are you're leading with in your day, it's very evident that we've cleared that energy because you've actually shifted how you show up.
yes,
You're actually becoming someone that feels like you are who you're meant to be. You're not feeling lost. You're not feeling confused. You're not feeling like you're having to say things that don't feel right to you. You're actually able to speak in a way that resonates with you and makes sense to you. And you're not feeling like you're having to hold yourself back. You're totally open to just letting the words flow.
yes, yes. Um, And your She Rises program is rooted in reclaiming personal power. What does that really mean for someone who's been stuck in survival mode for years?
When you come into She Rises, what we do is we first of all, we unravel from what you've been stuck into for years. It's the unraveling. I love to look at it as also the unbecoming of who you've been. And we start to pull out all the things through the energy clearing, through visualization practices, meditations, all things like that. We begin to clear out all that's within you that does not resonate with you, that is keeping you in the version of being someone that you don't want to be. Once we've unraveled from that, it gives us the ability to then go into an upgrade. And when we're upgrading, we're actually implementing in the ability, the personality, the behaviors, the things that we really know are what's going to benefit us. So, reframing the way that we think, reframing our thoughts and our words and our actions, how we show up in situations, and how we lead ourselves. All these are the ability for us to be able to begin putting in a new programming, essentially, is what we're doing, a new way of being. So, we go from lack to a state of abundance. And then we go into the upgrade, which is where we really put on the shiny coat of who you're becoming to allow this to become something that is a permanent shift, not just the just for now, but it's actually truly bringing you home into your most authentic version and keeping you rooted there because we've fully brought in this programming that is in alignment with who you were created to be and who you prefer to be.
Yeah, that's such a clear way to ground it, and making the unseen feel real is a gift. Uh, so, what mindset shifts are non negotiable in that kind of deep reinvention?
When we go into this, those mindset shifts are absolutely, you have to be willing to be okay with letting go what you've always known or what you've always done. That's one of the most important shifts that we have to make. Because if you aren't willing to disconnect from that, you'll never be able to change. So that's the very first and foremost one that we have to do. The other is shifting your beliefs around your ability to make the change, that you know that you can go from this victim mentality, which is 3D reality, to into that 5D, which is anything's possible for me. Whatever I desire is possible for me. I can create what I want. I can have what I want. And it's all about how you hold yourself. It's all about how you show up, the things that you're saying, the actions, the choices, the risks that you're taking, and the way that you're putting yourself out there. Also, another mindset shift is how do you walk into a room? How do you approach a
Yes.
conversation, right? All of that is so very important in shifting that because that gives you the ability to begin showing up in an entirely different way than you ever have and being willing to see yourself in a way that is a new way of your rebirthing is really really important and such a beautiful coming home to yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And you have done the physical, emotional, and energetic work. Now that you have shared so much externally, what's the biggest internal truth that you have gained?
The biggest internal truth.
Yes, that you have gained.
Honestly, that I can choose the life that I wanna live. For a long time, for a lot of my life, starting from when I was 8 years old, and I discovered that my dad, the only dad that I'd ever known, wasn't mine. He became my stepdad in a second, and that I had another dad that was my biological dad and didn't want me when I was born. It created this belief within me that I didn't belong, that I wasn't accepted, and I began the journey of believing that whatever I was given was what I had to deal with. And I lived the life thinking that God, the universe, the higher power, whoever you speak to, for me, it's all three. I believed that he made people that were pretty, successful, happy, lovable, all this, but then he made me. And I didn't get to have any of that. I believe that. I believe that the life that I had was a life that I had to live, and that was as good as it got. And the biggest internal truth that I've come to is that I can choose to change that. I am I am the master of my destiny. I am absolutely the captain of my journey in this life, and I get to choose the life that I want, and it's how I choose to show up.
Yes, yes. And you have found the courage. That's why I think congratulations to you. And living from that truth really reshapes everything. Thank you for
Thank you.
embodying it so fully. And so, if our listeners want to connect with you, what is the best way?
Absolutely. I think the best place to go to is to my website because that's where you'll find all my social media links, and you'll find my free 4-part video series that I offer, as well as you can book a bitchin' session. And when I say bitchin', be the change you need is BTCHYN, which is my company name. So we will not be bitching on the session. So if you go to my website, www.tara-wisco.com, that will give you insight into who I am and bring you to all of my social media platforms that I'm on.
Yes. And thank you, Tara, for being here. And with that, we have come to the end of the show. So, our listeners, Tara reminds us that healing isn't about becoming someone new, it's about no longer abandoning who you have always been. So, if you have been waiting for a sign to return to yourself, this is it. Take the pause, feel the energy, rise. We will see you next time on Inner Peace, Better Health.